actually going to be diving into the old like manifestation things that we used to do in regards to trying to manifest money. We're going to give it to you straight, what works, what doesn't work, what's worth your time, what's not worth your time. And
the biggest mistake I think people make when they get into this work and they know about gratitude, they know about abundance, is they don't.
In fact, I feel like I opened to more when I stopped visualizing. Hello and welcome back to the Consciously Thriving podcast. Did I butcher it?
You didn't butcher that. We're keeping that.
Oh, did we?
No, we're fully keeping that.
That's so funny. Nadia was meant to introduce the podcast.
It wasn't that I was meant to introduce. It's just that I had been.
Yeah.
We like refilmed this
that
a couple
means
times.
meant to introduce.
Whatever.
Do you have chocolate here?
Do I?
Yeah.
I did say to Shule,
Already.
let me know if I have chocolate on my face.
No,
Anyway.
yeah, you got it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode.
Hello, we're so excited to be here. Actually, talking about chocolate on your face, we're just drinking a coffee for those listening on the podcast right now. But I have like chocolate sprinkled on top of the coffee. I remember I was at the cafe not long ago. I fucking had a chocolate massa. I'm not kidding.
Why did that come out?
That was like a Dracula.
That's annoying. If someone was hearing that.
If someone had
I almost
headphones
wanna,
in.
like, I'm sorry, I apologize. That's just like something hit my vocal cord.
No, that was high.
But like, what hit that vocal cord?
I don't know. I didn't even know you could make that sound.
Neither did I.
But yeah, I did have a chocolate mustache, and I paid
Mustache.
Mustache. Is it mustache? Mustache.
Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, I had a chocolate mustache, and yeah, I paid and everything, and I was just like, that is really embarrassing.
You would have paid so confidently as
well. Yeah, I was just like, bye, have a good day. And I walked out of there, and I was just like
pay past and then be like, bye, have a good day.
I was strutting my stuff, swaying my hips. I was like, look at me.
But anyway, speaking of cappuccinos, I saw a meme the other day, and it's like, if you order a coffee with froth and chocolate on top, are you a baby? Like, are you actually a baby?
I think that person isn't actually living life to the fullest, to be honest.
But I'm like, do you know what? Your best moments come from when you're a child. So,
literally,
not always in all circumstances.
Bad.
Sorry. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, that inner child moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny,
Obviously.
actually. Dan's so used to having coffee on his chocolate now. What? Coffee on his chocolate? What? He's so used to having chocolate on his coffee because I make the coffees at home. And what the fuck? We're with his parents and I ran out of chocolate, and then he looked at me and he's like, no chocolate? And I was like, no chocolate. And then he's like,
really?
No chocolate?
What a baby.
Literally, like, he fully had a fit in front of his parents. It was really funny. Anyway, why are we here? Hi, how are you? All the pleasantries are out of the way because we actually have a really exciting episode to dive into. I'm actually like so excited to be filming this because I wish there was an episode like this, and there probably was, but I just wasn't fucking receiving it.
You say this, but you were just rejecting the content.
Well,
your subconscious was anyway. She wasn't actually rejecting it, but her subconscious.
Yeah, I was like, literally, fuck off, I don't want to hear any of it. But no, honestly, like, this episode is going to save you so much time when it comes to manifesting money. Like, we are about to make this shit so fucking easy, so fucking simple for you that you walk away from this episode not wasting your time with shit that literally just
might not work well for you.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so many. So basically, what are we talking about? Let's actually dive into it. We're talking about the concept of money, which you would have seen from the title of this episode, but we're actually going to be diving into the old like manifestation things that we used to do in regards to like trying to manifest money and our relationship with money. And just like everything we did to try and improve our financial experience that we were taught through mentors or like manifestation content we consumed and we actually implemented in our life. And now on the other side of all of that experimentation, all of our experience, our vast experience with money as well, we're here and we're just like, okay, we're going to give it to you straight. What works, what doesn't work, what's worth your time, what's not worth your time. And we're going to dive into all of it, which is going to be exciting. So before we actually started this episode, Nads and I actually wrote a couple of things that we wanted to bring to the episode, and we don't know what each other has written down.
Yeah,
so it'll be a vibe.
Do you want to start with a little bit of our background of our journey, or do you feel?
No, I feel like that's like good too, because if you don't know us, and this is like, you know, you're just hearing our story now, I feel like it's good to hear what our experience with money has been like, so that you can understand that when I say that we have been through it, that we have experienced it all, I fucking mean it. So why don't you start?
Yeah. So I feel like just like to cap on to cap on
To cap.
You know when you say to recap, but we're not actually
it's going to be one of those
recapping.
episodes, it feels.
Yeah, honestly. But seriously, so basically, if you are new to us and new to this podcast, about 2 years ago, I would say, 2 or a year and a half ago.
Maybe a year and a half, 2 years. You've got chocolate again.
I just said, okay.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I just said, was it 2 years ago? And you're like, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
I have no fucking idea.
Anyway.
What, 2022?
2022.
Middle of 2022.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was just doing that for me. You don't have to keep doing
cool.
it.
Sorry if you're not watching the visuals. I've told Shule to let me know when I have chocolate on my face.
But I kept like rubbing my lip, and then she just kept mimicking my behavior.
Because I thought you were telling me.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No. Anyway, basically, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Shule and I decided to leave our 9-to-5 corporate jobs. Well, jobs at the time.
I didn't have a corporate job, but
no, you were a dermal clinician.
Yeah.
And I was in human resources.
Yeah.
Fun. Anyway.
You know, in like the older episodes, I used to just be like, yeah, well, like whenever you said corporate, I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like a normal.
Same thing, like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think about when I say like corporate, like 9 to 5. Anyway, Shule did have a bit more of a funner job, not gonna lie.
No.
Anyway, basically we left our jobs and went all in with our business. Not obviously, but at that time, we were still very much learning. We felt like we had the foundations to, I guess, like understanding manifestation and things like that. But really, our journey and our experience when it's come to like money and the energetics of money, we learned through experiencing, kind of going through it all. You know, I feel like there are so many different people. Some people experience not getting the success and learning what kind of went wrong there, and then some people get the success and then they realize all their wounds come to the surface through getting the success and through getting the money, and they learn they have to like kind of heal that way. So I feel like for our experience, it was like we went through the ringer when we actually got to a point where like both of us had experienced like completely having no money in our bank account, like actually using the last part of our savings. Yeah. And then having no 0 months in our businesses, like actually like reaching those low points.
$0 months.
Yeah, $0 months, to then learn the principles and the things that we're going to share with you today.
Yeah. So we've really had to, no, you didn't. Like we've really had to go through it, right? We have gone into we've gone into our worst case scenarios with money, right? I feel like with money, we were so attached. We were just like, we were so attached to making it. We were so attached to what our bank accounts look like. And we really did manifest a lot of our fears throughout our entire journey. But it's been like one of the most like healing experiences, freeing experiences. Like without what we went through, I wouldn't be here today. Like having my relationship
like in
with
every
money.
Situation, like even in those moments where it was like, oh, I feel like I've hit my rock bottom or whatever, we got to experience the kind of the law of attraction and manifestation we got to see it play out and how it actually works. And through our experience, I'm like, holy shit, this experience of like, having those low moments and having those like low months or whatever, or just reaching to a point where you're like fully having to surrender to this current moment. I feel like we learnt money energetics through that way so deeply. Like I'm like, I actually I understand how the money energetics works now, and like not what I was doing wrong, but like more so like, oh, the energy I'm actually translating to money and like the relationship I have with money. Yeah. It's like I could see it at its full force when I was in moments of like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know where the money's coming from. So like I said, people learn in very different ways and people grasp it, or you could just listen and learn from our experience and just apply it to your life.
Yeah, 1000%. Something that you said, and I think like would be worth even like just having a conversation on before we really dive into it, because I feel like a lot of people have this question, particularly if you've been on like this journey of entrepreneurship for a while and things like that. You might often wonder this, like, why do some people, I would love to like hear your point of view on this, like, why do some people get success and other people like don't? Like why are some people like getting success and learning through success? Why do they get to do that, and why do other people not? Like why are so many other people like struggling with it to get there, and like they're learning through that way?
Yeah, I think like, to be honest, I think like if I have a look at like, you know, for example, my partner, like he's gotten success and you share your perspective on this. Like he quit his 9 to 5 and things have been going really well for him. Like the momentum's there. You know, he's not really doing much. He's just doing the jobs that he has, and like opportunities are just coming to him left, right, and center. So from this experience of like seeing, and even through my own moments of like success, I feel like those people that like get the success and they get it really easily, I really do believe that those people have a solid foundation, and the biggest difference is a solid foundation in their belief in themselves, their belief in their work. I think they have momentum there in terms of like, there's not a lot of resistance to those things being manifested.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I don't feel like it's like, like the universe goes, you're going to learn through success, and although, you know, the universe does always have the path of least resistance to help you get to where you want, and it knows how you're going to learn something to get you to where you want. But I do see when people like learn through success, I genuinely, there is no other way other than them having this belief in themselves, belief in their work, and there's like some level of momentum and less resistance than the people that are like learning through their failures.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a belief system thing.
Yeah.
I think it
has to be.
Yeah.
Everything is like based on belief. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Belief and less like no resistance. Yeah. Like
less
being
resistance. Being open.
Yeah, being
right?
more open.
And you can have that's what's so funny about the law of attraction, because you can be open and you can be like not resistant to the things manifesting, but that doesn't mean that the energy in which you're bringing to it is the hottest. That's why some people, when they get the success, like their whole world crumbles, or like their wounds are manifested, because it's like sometimes getting those things amplify how you already feel.
Yeah.
But it's not because the universe is being like, you learn this way and you learn this way, you like, you know, has a part to play in it. But I do think like that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I agree.
And even if you just think about like how we started with our journeys and like through the failures, it makes sense.
I actually feel like I did have like, I started with success. Like I started with it being really fucking easy, and then I watched it all go downhill.
Yeah.
That was really like my journey with it all. So that was interesting to go through.
And you see a massive difference in your energy when it was like,
well, when I first went full time in my business, there was no resistance, because that year when I first started, I felt like I'd gotten to this point, because I'd started the readings business the year prior, and then I had a 6-month break because I was like, I fucking hate this. I don't like doing this.
But even the reading business was easy for you.
It was easy. It just went off like that.
Like, do you feel like why was it easy?
I was playing. I had no expectations. My worth wasn't tied to it.
Yeah.
I had the other job, which was like the money coming through there. So you
felt like, yeah.
So I didn't feel like I needed the money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, it wasn't about the money. That's the thing.
Wasn't about the money.
The money was not even a conversation for me. Like I was doing this because I loved it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh my God, I get to do this. I'm learning about energy, because I went from being an atheist to doing this, and I was so excited. I was like, I'm reading strangers from all over the world. Like, what? And then I was helping people. Like, people were finding their soul purposes. I remember some readings that I did back then where people were on like completely different paths, and now I've literally watched their entire lives transform based on those readings I did for them there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's fucking wild now to witness, like the power in those readings and those sessions. And I could feel it then and there, but it was pure love for what I was doing. There was no expectation. I was so excited learning something new. I was immersed in this world. So the business took off. I wasn't doing anything. I had no idea how to sell.
You didn't even know what you were doing.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It was just coming to me.
Yeah.
And that happened, but then it got to a point where I was becoming really drained, and I was like, this is really fucking, like, the readings really did fuck my energy, because I had no energetic boundaries. I was constantly living up there. I was never in my body. It was really bad for me to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, then I went through that 6 months where I'm like, what am I going to do with myself now? And then I had nothing to lose. That was at the start of 2022. I had nothing to lose. So I was just like, whatever. I'm just going to follow my intuition, and I don't care where it leads me, right? I'm just like, I've got nothing other than this, right? So I just kept doing that. And it led me to a path of like being like, oh, create this program, create this masterclass. No experience. I had no idea how to do any of that, right? And I was just like, whatever, let me do it. So I put out the masterclass. Over 50 people signed up. My very first masterclass, and then I put out the program, and so many people like were inquiring. So many people joined. There was like, what was it? Like a 9K month, right? My first year, my first month of business, and I was just like, that's wild. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because I was like, holy fucking shit. Yeah, and then. That's when I remember when that happened, and then because I was told intuitively to leave my job to do all those things, so I did it. And then I got attached because I was like, okay, now I need money. Yeah. Now I need to make this work. Yeah. Now that I've seen the potential, I was like, I need to keep growing from here. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, all of these expectations and attachments started to form. I decided that I need to hire a strategy coach and somebody to teach me how to run an online business because I'm not going to know how to do it. I did that. I reinvested the money I made. It was wild. And then I started to attach to all of these external things, and I lost the magic and the love for what I was doing. Yeah. And it reflected in how my business performed.
And that's what I mean. I'm like, I have literally seen it in front of my eyes, the person that like has made it like easy, and it's literally comes down to just not, it's just the lack of the resistance.
Yeah. Yeah, the what? The lack of...
I keep saying that. I was about to say the path of least resistance, but it's like their resistance to it manifesting, their resistance to how it's happening, their attachment.
Yeah, it is. It's massive. It plays a massive role in it. So shall we dive into some of the things that we used to do that we no longer agree with?
Sure.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Let me go. So yeah, these are some of the things that like we've learnt along the way. So one of the things for me was so let's just talk about gratitude for a second. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I used to do is I would force myself. So a lot of the time when we get into manifestation, law of attraction, we talk about like gratitude, because gratitude is it's an abundant frequency. Like when you're in a state of gratitude, you're in abundance, because when you're in pure gratitude, sorry, I just want to say that, not fake gratitude. When you're in a pure state of gratitude, you are in a state of abundance, because that gratitude translates to more than enough, and that's exactly what abundance is, right? So you're not in lack. But I knew this subconsciously. I knew like gratitude was a frequency in which called in money and could allow more money to come through. But like even just the way I'm explaining it, you can see like the mindset I had at the time. But basically I wrote down, like, I used to force myself to be grateful, but I never could. It came from the energy of thinking, if I be grateful, I will get more. So that was something that I often practiced. And when I look back, and it's so slight, it's like such a subconscious energy. But whilst I was like practicing like being grateful, and there were moments where I was genuinely grateful, there was always this energy about like, I want more. There was this energy of what if it runs out? What if so I could never actually practice like being in a state of gratitude purely in the frequency of gratitude. Yeah. Because I was so attached to more, and I was so attached to making sure the money didn't run out. So if the biggest mistake I think people make when they get into this work and they know about gratitude, they know about abundance, is they don't heal their relationship to money first or prioritize that, because there's no way anyone can actually feel abundant and you can play in frequencies of abundance and actually have this as your state of being if you have distortions going that you're ignoring in the background. Do you get what I mean? Like you can't actually be in a state of gratitude if there is a part of you that is worried or has subconscious beliefs that money does run out, or do you get what I mean? Or that you are attached to making more money. Yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like my journey has like really evolved with that now. Because, yeah, like I think like talking on that gratitude piece is really important in regards to people hearing, I need to be practicing gratitude, so let me do that so that I manifest what I want. Like that doesn't, that's whole
not
mindset,
right.
That's not actually being in gratitude. And like the whole like I'll write out a list, or I'll think, it's like gratitude should be something that you infuse into your everyday being. Like every single fucking day you practice being in the gratitude frequency, right? It's like in every moment of every single day you focus on being here and now. And like with the distortions around money and things like that, I agree with what you said. It's like you can't ignore your vibe. Like you can't ignore the distortions coming up towards money and just force a gratitude frequency onto yourself. It's not going to work. You're in resistance. And you have to... It's like the way I see it now is I used to think that I had to like dissect every little thing that I had towards money. And that was a pretty limiting frequency because it kept me playing in the distortions of my mind, right? So whenever I would have like lack and shit like that come up, I would really like sit there and try and like work it out and figure it out. Where is it coming from? Blah, blah, blah. But really like what I've learned through that process now is you don't actually have to like talk to your mental concepts anymore. What you want to do is you want to just see them, feel them, not resist them. That's like what your work needs to be, right? It's like you actually just have to see them and then you have to know how to actually like let them go energetically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think like there's like two sides, right? So there's like the part that for me, it's like I wasn't even dissecting them. I would just completely resist them and be like, no, you're not allowed to think that way, blah, blah, blah. And as a result of shoving them down, you just think about them more and you feed them more energy. And then also like I feel like the dissecting of like what beliefs am I holding and like constantly being like rewiring is like this attachment to more money because it's like you think that you're doing something wrong. So you need to dissect every single belief you have. And it's just like not a way you're got like being so in your mind all the time is not a way that's going to create a peaceful life. So it's like you have to find this balance of like when we talk about gratitude and things like that, when it comes to this work, you have to find a balance where you don't shove the feelings down. If you have a moment of lack coming up or if you have some resistance coming up, you have to balance, don't shove that down, but then also stop being so in your mind and dissecting it all. It's like a witnessing and letting go, like exactly what you said.
You have to actually let it go because then it can go into like allowing the feeling to take over and then also distort your perspective, your internal vibe, like your way of being, and that's like not right as well.
And something something as well, like when we're speaking about gratitude, something else that I used to happen. So it was like this energy and it was so subconscious. I didn't know I was really doing it. And sometimes you're not aware that you're doing it. It's like I did feel gratitude and I was grateful, but there was always this niggly thing in the back of my mind or the niggly feeling in my energetic field, right? And then there was also moments where I noticed where if I received abundance or I received more money, it was easier for me to be grateful. So that's a really good indication that you're actually attached to the external world and you're not fully grateful, because if like you're only grateful when more comes through, like if the client comes through, it's like it was easier to practice gratitude in those moments.
Needs to not happen. Sorry, I'm like that's gonna spill all over the couch and I'm gonna have to clean that up.
That's it.
Thanks. Sorry, those of you on the podcast, Nadia just balanced her fucking coffee cup on the couch and I was like looking at it and I'm like I cannot concentrate.
But yeah, so it's like there was like two things. It was really this part that
Sorry, doll, you're gonna have to clean your face. She's got chocolate on her face again.
Yeah, this part where it's like I couldn't be in gratitude because of these niggly feelings and I was attaching to them. And then also I would notice it was easier to be grateful when more things came through. So it's like, how was I, like, you're never going to create an internal state of abundance if it's based on the things that you have.
So it's like, I feel like
based on, like when you get things.
You still have chocolate here. And I agree. And I think like going forward, just for you to reflect here, ask yourself, am I practicing gratitude do I literally have the mindset of I need to be in gratitude so that my bank account improves, so that my finances improve? If that's the thought process, you've got internal resistance, you've got some shit that you're resisting actually feeling, right? States of lack and shit like that need to actually come up and be passed through your energetic body, and that's what you need to be focusing on. And it's like gratitude shouldn't be something you force. Gratitude is actually just like something that just is like when you actually like let go of the shit that keeps you in lack and distortion, you don't even have to force a grateful perspective. I feel like this depends on like where you are on your journey, but I remember like when I first started, I had such a negative mindset that I actually did have to
I think
force
there's a
gratitude.
time and place where like practicing gratitude and you kind of not, it's not forcing from a place of attachment, but
I
like
actually had to.
Yeah, not from a place of attachment, but like practicing it and training yourself to
it had
actually
nothing
be
to do
grateful,
with exactly,
but non-circumstantial of the reality.
And that's when I first started. That's how I first started gratitude.
Yeah.
It was like non-circumstantial. I just want to be a happy person.
Yeah, and that's the energy you need to be in, because it's like, obviously, like when you're in frequency, like if your constant state is one of abundance, then obviously as a byproduct more things will manifest and your desires start to manifest, because your frequency is, your state of being is abundance, and of course like attracts like, so you're going to manifest more. But when people hear that, all they want to, like, they hear the manifest, you're gonna get more and manifest more, and that's the problem, because that's not actually abundance, that's not actually gratitude, or it's fake until a point.
And you can't hold it, right? And we've said this in a couple of episodes, particularly the surrender episode that we did last week. When you are getting the things that you want, right? Maybe you're able to fake the gratitude frequency or the abundance frequency for a while, be in that state of being. Manifesting is easy. It's when you're in the fucking energy, it'll happen, right? So when you're in that energy, you might create the thing that you've been wanting to create, but it will not last, because it will just highlight who you are at the core.
Exactly.
Right? And that was like my experience when I first got into this space, right? I had so much self-doubt and shit like that, and I didn't trust myself. And I didn't trust money like I do now, and like the universe. And when I went into business, it's like when I got the thing that I thought was going to make me the happiest person in the world, I like couldn't hold it. I was met with so much doubt, so much resistance, and I like imploded, and it's like I burnt it all to the ground type of vibe. You know what I mean?
It makes sense, because you know, where there's wounds, only getting more of that will amplify it.
Exactly. So it's the biggest thing to be aware of, and I felt like this is something I heard for a while on my manifestation journey, even something I experienced. So you likely have already had this experience where you've gotten what you've wanted, and you're like, this isn't actually what I want. But for me, I would reject it.
You know what's so funny when people say like it's not what I want? I think some of the times it can be. It can be when you're creating from your ego and you're creating from an idea of the future you think is what's for you, and you have some, you know, you're going after a career you think you need or whatever, then obviously you can get it and you're like, this isn't what I want. Obviously I've experienced that. But then
I don't think it's ever like, I think it's like, it's never like, it's not what you want, because you're chasing something outside of yourself thinking that it's going to give you the thing.
Yeah. So
it's never going to give it to you.
So basically, of course, then even when you get what you want, even when you get the thing that is actually for your soul and what you're here to do, it's like, it might feel good.
I don't even believe that though. I don't even believe that there's something that you're here to do. I think that is all like ego construct. Like, because what does that even mean? I feel like it's like a state of being.
Yeah, it's a state of being, and then naturally those things that reflect that state of being will just manifest. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But I actually think that it doesn't matter like what you're doing. Like I think I genuinely, I think, and I experienced this for a short time while I was at the other job. When I was in the other job, I was actually happy there.
But would you prefer to continue doing facials or coach clients? What would the preference would have been?
My preference would have been to coach clients for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The preference doesn't come from this is going to make me happy.
Yeah.
The preference comes from a neutral.
But I genuinely believe that I could have found happiness anywhere.
You can. Of course, you need to be able to find happiness. You can find happiness, but like when it comes to like actually like having a career that's aligned for you or whatever, it's not going to come from this place of you thinking that that's going to like make you happy or anything. It comes from a byproduct, or it comes from a feeling of like, oh, this is fun, and I would actually like to be spending my time doing this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, I do feel, in my perspective, I do feel like it's not like, I feel like we have joy and we have things that excite us for reasons, you know, beyond us. But I do believe you should be able to find happiness non-circumstantial and in your current reality, no matter what, not even fighting that, not even trying for a better reality. But sometimes we do have like a preference to run a business or whatever, but it needs to really come from a neutral place.
Yeah, it needs to come from pure excitement. Like, it feels like, shouldn't come from a place of this is going to make me, this is going to be when it's like life's worth living.
That's
important, blah, 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 blah.
So I get what you're saying. Like, I don't think like you're meant to, I get what you're saying.
I just feel like it's ever changing. Do you know what I mean?
Of course it's going to, it's not, it's like in that moment. It's like in this current moment in your reality, following what excites you and following what you feel like doing. And if that's like coaching clients or whatever that is, but that's, you can't be attached to that being the thing forever, or that it's even a thing. It's just in like, this moment, and it's like you just create from what you enjoy. But like, I could absolutely not want to do this business, and that's perfectly fine.
1000%. It's always a state of being that you're after. So I agree.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. I feel like these two things could, maybe I'll talk about one at a time. The first one would be visualizing.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this is something that works. Whoopsies. That was a ghost. No, I have the window open, so it just pushed the door closed. But I have used this personally. And I have seen so much success with visualizing, right? Where just like actually picturing myself having money. Well. It's scary how it happens, right? You can literally like get your whole state of being into the frequency of having a certain amount or having money coming into your experience. And literally just before you know it, any outcome you want, it's like it will happen. I've manifested a lot by doing this. And it was something that I used to do every single day. I would wake up and I would do it, right? And I'd get myself into that frequency. And there were many reasons why I did this as well, like to get my whole being on board with having like more money, like, you know, getting comfortable with having more money, in the frequency of more money, whatever. So that's what I did. And because I experienced so much success with it, I just kept going. But then after a while, particularly like when we started to get into like, you know, learning about surrender and attachment and things like that, I realized I'm like, where am I doing this from? Like it felt like the more I started to surrender into my reality and get present and happy in the here and the now, the less need I felt like I had to visualize and like actively try and manifest things, because I was like, I don't feel like I actually like need to do it. Like there was no like desire to want to do it. There was no, I didn't feel like I didn't feel even like on my mind, like necessary or important. So yeah, I stopped doing it, and I actually found that it didn't impact like how money was coming into my life. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In fact, I feel like I opened to more when I stopped visualizing.
Yeah, because you're in the present moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, that when it comes to like constantly practicing this moment of visualizing a different moment, like you are fully resistant, you are sending out a bit of a
resisting
frequency.
this current
moment, what you have. And it's like, it is very much one of those situations where it's like that's attachment to a different moment. It's attachment to another outcome. And I know that can be really hard to hear, because we hear so much of like, you know,
so many teachers actually teach you visualization and
things like that. But it's like when it's coming from an energy or trying to not be in this moment and realize you actually have everything you have now and you're in the fullness of this moment, it's like, well, why would you? If you actually were grateful,
that's what I mean.
If you actually were in a state of abundance, why would you be chasing another moment?
Why would you need another moment? Why would you need to visualize anything else other than what you have now?
Because you can access those feelings right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like it's all here. As you said, it's like you don't need anything outside of yourself.
Yeah.
So if this moment is the most perfect moment there is, and everything is working,
that's all you have.
It's so all that's
like, it's like it goes beyond like this being so perfect. And yes, that's the truth. Like I do believe like this current moment is perfect.
It is. No matter what you're going through.
Yeah, it's all you have. So why do you want to spend another moment in a future that doesn't actually, or like, I feel like, you know, the energy when I did it felt like that was a better time. You know, the visualization was going to give me a better time. It was going to give me something.
Well, how could you ever like visualize without that being your motive? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I was driving in the car the other day, and it was so natural. It wasn't like a forced visualization. I didn't sit there, but I was just thinking about the podcast and like building, like thinking about a community and things like that. But it was so, I didn't do anything. It was just, I was driving and just had these thoughts of it. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, like,
I don't know. I still feel like that can come from a place of not presence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like still subconsciously comes from a place of like something you know, like, do you know what I mean?
Well, it depends, because it's like, am I attached to that? Do I need that to happen? Do I think that that's going to bring a better moment? But my brain just, and it can just be thoughts of my brain just doing those
things. And the brain is constantly never in the present moment. It's always going to other
thinking,
moments.
Yeah. So obviously I didn't sit there being like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, I have, like, this is, you know,
because my brain does that too, but it actually comes from a place of still programmed to think that there's something a better moment. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, I reckon, like, genuinely, I know it's a big statement to make, but I genuinely think all visualization, it comes from a not present moment, because you shouldn't actually be somewhere else. You should be here right now,
and use your resources. And it's like, it's okay to you know, I'd love to have a community of like people here and like doing that, but like the attachment, the forcing, the trying and thinking that that's gonna, you know, bring something can be a big problem.
It's like, for me, it's like indifferent. I'm just like, I'm just so happy being here right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, having this conversation with you, being able to like put these episodes out.
And you are grateful and you're in the moment with what you have.
Exactly. I'm just like, great, this is amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I know. I agree with, I agree.
Yeah, I know you do. I'm just I'm just getting passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about you? What's your next one?
Oh yeah. Shit.
Yeah, have your fucking notes app out, doll.
That's so when it comes to, I feel like this has gone beyond money.
What do you mean?
This whole conversation has gone beyond money.
Has it? Oh, whatever. You can apply it to anything.
You can apply it to anything. But yeah, like these are like, you know, when we were talking about like money energetics, but this one specifically, in terms of money. So,
well, I used to visualize, like I used to do the visualizing to get myself into a state of being where I was like comfortable enough energetically to hold large amounts of money. That's why I would do it.
Yeah.
So I can get my state, like I could like literally not trick my body, but like teach my body to be comfortable to hold abundance. But I didn't realize that abundance is like being in a state of presence and being in the here and the now and being open to life right now and being open to the abundance right now is the exact same frequency I was trying to create through visualizing that state of, you know, but it's like doing it from a place of non-attachment, not needing anything outside of me, and like, you know what I mean, it's like a more powerful frequency.
I truly believe that's what every soul and every person is actually trying to chase in this life. Like when we talk about abundance and all that, I feel like everyone's trying to, the soul desire is the frequency in which it holds. That's what we yearn for. You know, because if more money doesn't give you that, if more money doesn't,
which it doesn't, can confirm.
If you don't feel abundant, if you don't actually grateful, then more money won't do that. Then
can confirm this needs to not be that.
Sorry. But anyway,
again, the coffee cup on the couch.
So something I used to do when it comes to money is, it's not a specific technique or anything, but I used to just in general, I used to force control and try to force an outcome with money that I wanted, because I thought thinking about it, fixating on it, there was like, basically my brain was associated with this belief that when I worry, I'm okay, if that makes sense. So when it come to like, you know, I'd be in moments where I'm like, oh, is this bill going to get paid? Or thinking about the future, thinking about the moments where I was like, oh, this needs to be paid, and like that control came in.
So you would hyperfixate.
Well, I was in an illusion thinking that worrying was keeping me safe. So I would control and fixate and think about it. So for me, like the biggest lesson I've learned is like surrender and practicing non-control, actually practicing letting go of attachment to the bank account, attachment to all of it, just like releasing any form of control you have over your bank account, over a bill being paid, all of like just letting that go. It doesn't like, so basically what I'm just trying to say is the worry and the control and the fixating and the visualizing and the I want this outcome it's not doing anything. You know, in fact, it will just make you feel worse. So like I had to learn to actually feel safe in fully surrendering, fully letting go of control, to be able to see that like life can still support me. I think a lot of people operate that's why people can't break free from scarcity, is because they're actually in control. They feel that their control is doing something for them. And that's why they can't let go with life and just trust life. So that's been like a really, really big thing that I've had to like overcome. It was like the hardest thing to overcome, but breaking free. No,
that's a really important topic to talk about, because so many people like in the manifestation community, and it fits, like it kind of like rolls into the visualization conversation where you overly fixate on creating outcomes. And you're doing it from such a mind level.
Yeah. And I think like because we're like programmed in a society to stress and worry and think about money and make money be the...
Could you like touch on how this actually impact? You did a little bit, but like really highlighting this, like, because it's like in a society sense, because I feel like, you know, spiritual manifestation people,
they're aware,
they're aware of that. They're aware that that is like the case society wise. We see people in the rat race with fucking life, right, trying to create those things. But how is that now copy and pasted onto the manifestation community, and how we've been taught manifestation by some people?
Yeah, well, I think like the part where it's like, you know, fixate on an outcome, you know, decide that your money's going to come in at this day and this time and all of that.
And
like,
it will.
And it will. I think that can be coming from a place of distrusting it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So that's what I believe. For me, it felt like, you know, the control, and it feels like for me, it's just like that my whole body was in anxiety and worry about like these things. So it was just, I think we don't realize that we're operating an illusion that worrying is actually doing the manifestation.
But it's not actually worrying. It's like, it's the act of thinking that you're actually like, so you're not worrying when you're doing it, but the underlying frequency is worry. But you're doing it from a place of, oh no, I'm just manifesting. Like I'm just like being aware of my thoughts. I'm just being aware of like my mindset. I'm just making sure that I'm on top of my reality and what I'm putting out into the universe. But it's actually not coming from that place at all. Instead, you're coming from that worry frequency and that control frequency, and you're basically doing what you've always been taught to do in society, which is to worry and like try and control the outcomes of things.
Yeah, well, I think and it really comes. That's exactly right, and it's like, I think it was also this belief that like, it almost like it's just a complete like a distortion that I think that the universe is going to miss something, or it's going to forget me, or it's going to like it's like this absolute illusion. And then so when you actually start breaking free from that, even if it's like subconsciously, even if you're not in like panic with it and you're just like, but there's this underlying subconscious feeling of worry, when you actually practice surrender, you realize that like, oh, it was never the worry that like made it all work out. It was never the worry that like fixed anything. And like, it's just like this, it's a deep practice of having to just trust that like letting go of every moment, letting go of any worry you have, and just letting life be. It's like, it's really deep. It's so deep. It's like one of the deepest things I've had to work on. That's like the biggest thing I've had to work on with money,
because it's like you get into a state of just even allowing like the moment to be what it needs to be, the situation to result in whatever it needs to result into, and you allow each situation to teach you whatever it needs to teach you, right? It's like, even if it doesn't go your way, you have to like surrender to that. You have to like understand that it's still happening for you, and it's an opportunity to either like deepen into yourself, to learn something about yourself, to learn something about life, and you just have to like let go and fall into that, you know what I mean?
And this like practice really taught me that like the universe is a lot smarter than what you think you are. Your higher self knows exactly I'm going to be honest, the universe knows exactly what you need to learn from a lesson. It knows exactly when something needs to be paid. It knows exactly when, you know, you're in situations where, like, I've even had a moment where my partner asked me to contribute more money, and it was like, I didn't go and, sorry, I just like thought I'd bring this up, but like, this is exactly like the topic of control. I didn't go into that moment of like, I'm going to go fix this, I'm going to sort this out. I let life show me how that can happen, right? So it's like, in whatever capacity, and it was like, it's just this constant trust with the universe that you need to embody, and it's like non-circumstantial of like what my reality looks like or what's going to happen. It's just a letting go, like it's a complete letting go of like both trusting that if the money needs to come in, and the money can come in, and I'm open to that, and then also it will sort itself out in any capacity it needs to. So it's just a deep surrender without outcome focus. It's like not worrying about the outcome.
I love that, because when you are trying to create things, like make things happen, whether it's like through visualizing or like controlling the outcome and fixating on like the bill needs to be paid by this date and blah 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 blah, what ends up happening is you end up blocking yourself off from so much abundance that actually can come into your experience. And that's really been my experience with letting go like this and practicing living life like this. And this is what like Nadia was touching on when she's like, your higher self knows what the fuck's up, right?
Yeah, it really does.
You actually have so much available, so much fucking available, so much money, so many opportunities, so much that can come into your experience right now. But when you have tunnel vision on one way that this needs to work and it needs to happen through this and it has to happen, like this has to happen, whatever, you are just blocking so many other ways that this thing could have been sorted for you, right?
Honestly. And it's like wild because, can I bring up an example? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, go on.
No, talk. I feel like I'm talking out. I'm not shutting up.
No, you're not.
But
What?
just like, no, shut up. No.
By the way, if Nadia and I are like dry with each other, that's just how
That's
we
just
are.
our humor.
Like I literally will just
She'll tell me to shut up, I'll tell her to shut up.
yeah.
That's
So
how it
just
is.
like if we're like if we don't even have like a face on and we're telling each other off or whatever,
That's just how we are. I
that's
don't
just
even
how
think
we are.
anything of it.
Oh, you don't, but they might.
Yeah, they might. They might be like,
They might be like, what a fucking what a bitch.
like, so, you know, I, like, for example, last month, I just wanted to bring this up because this story, like, last month, all of a sudden, not that I was even, you know, I wasn't even in a situation where it was like, I need the money to pay for my bill. So that wasn't the situation, but I'm just using this example. Like, last month, randomly, the government was like, I'm going to give, everyone got like $300 to pay for their bills or something like that, right?
Nice. Last month?
Yeah, last month. But
I
no.
get it.
It's like, so, I don't know who pays for.
Oh, maybe Dan got it.
Yeah, no, what they're doing
Was
is
it
they're
for, like,
taking
electricity?
installments. They're taking like $70 off here of like the next like 4 quarterly bills or whatever. The government's like provided some assistance or whatever, right?
Right.
But just say I was in a state of like I needed to pay that bill. How the universe has so many ways in which you can that it can support you. That's why it's so important to like fully detach. And like we hear these concepts, but then the control still comes from a distrust.
Yeah.
And it's like so funny because like we try to get more money. We try to do these
Yeah,
things.
it's like, the universe can support me, but let me try and do this still.
Yeah, like,
It's
so it's like, you know, even non-circumstantial, if I was in a situation in which, you know, I didn't have the money to pay for those bills or whatever, because I'm trying to like really...
We have been in
Yeah,
that
I'm
situation.
trying to really talk about those situations where I didn't have those moments.
We've actually been in those situations.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
You fully need to be... You need the number one thing you want to work on if you want to like create a life that you actually want of abundance is you need to work on your trust with and your relationship to trusting money and life. It's just life, to be honest. It doesn't even feel like money because money is a tool that life uses, but it comes down to like working on your relationship to trusting life.
Yeah.
But I'm just using that as an example. So how the fuck would I have known that?
That was going to happen.
You didn't need more money in those moments. The government's like, here you go, you know?
Oh my God. I could think of so many random examples of like money coming in crazy ways.
Oh man, I've had some fucking funny ones.
One of my like past clients, she like had $500 just deposited into her account.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, it can come through thin air, baby.
Literally, actually thin air.
Yeah.
Like they had no trace. They couldn't trace the money back. She called the bank and then they were like, keep it. It's not out. Like it's yours.
Yeah, literally.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, like it's just money comes through the most random places, and it's just there's so many ways, right? And it might not even come in the way of you receiving the money, right? It might be somebody coming to pay it for you or whatever.
You don't know. So the whole thing is just like the control comes from this place of not actually trusting the next moment.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, and we've been in situations where we've been like down to nothing and we've had some like bills to pay for and we've not had the money to do it. And through this like complete surrender, the money always comes in, and if it doesn't come in, it was always for us in some way, shape or form. Yeah. Right?
But it did always. No, it doesn't necessarily mean the money, but it sorted itself out.
It sorts itself out.
That's what I want to.
You just like you end up learning from the situation.
So like I want to give an example. Have you had an example?
I can't think of one.
I think your mum gave you money at one point.
I don't remember that one. I don't know. I've been in so many of the situations.
Yeah. Yeah. There was like.
I feel like for me, it's always sorted itself out.
Yeah, it's just always sorted itself out. That's exactly right. It doesn't matter how.
Yeah.
It's no relevance to talking about how it sorted itself out, but it always did.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I can't remember actual like proper examples that are coming to my mind right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think another one we've kind of like touched on, like through all of this, we've kind of touched on what I wrote down. Like
I love being vulnerable. I'm just going to add that out there because I think it really helps them digest it.
Yeah, no,
so
I
random
think
that I said that, but I was just thinking that.
yeah, it's random.
No, I just love.
That's what it's like being friends with a Gemini.
Yeah, I'll just say something random. But no, I really hope this is like digesting for you.
Yeah.
And because this is very vulnerable.
We like to give like really like real life experiences
and
from
examples.
Yeah, I've always been like this, like
Yeah.
with everything. That's like one of the biggest feedbacks I get from clients.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck, I love how you like give me like the real life juicy examples. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, it's the only way to learn.
It's the only way
like
to learn.
we literally apply this shit into our life. And
I loved how like one of our past coaches, Genevieve,
Yeah.
she's so honest about like
Her
and she
experiences.
uses actual examples to be like, this is like what happens.
It helps you to
It
understand.
helps you people digest.
Yeah. Manifesting specific numbers.
Yeah, that
Don't
doesn't feel
love
hot
that.
for me.
No,
doesn't feel
that
hot.
never felt hot for me.
That
But
never
there was a
did.
period where I tried to like do that. And
I even tried to do it from like a detached, like this would be fun to explore.
yeah, I've done it like that as well.
But it just never felt hot.
It never felt hot. Like manifesting specific numbers really goes back to like what we were describing before around just shit being really.
Still
what's the
feels a
word?
little bit forced and controlled.
It's forced, it's controlled. You're cutting yourself off from the source
Yeah.
that has an infinite supply available for you. It feels like trying to manifest a specific number feels really like I need to make this happen because it comes from a place of like distrust again. Like I need to make sure I have enough. It's just, it's not abundance.
Yeah,
it's not
it's not.
abundance.
It's
It's really like a limited way of creating, in my opinion. So that's
I think
like,
I like tried to do that a couple times. I'm like, this is not hot for me.
me too.
This is not.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
We spoke about the acting as if the amount I have is already here. We've done that. We've spoken about that. Like, because it's resisting this current moment.
Yeah, we really
You're
have.
you're resisting this current moment. It's just not hot.
Yeah.
You know what I wrote down?
Yeah.
This is really funny, but this is more of like a funny thing. This is a technique that you and I used to do, mostly me. But Lakshmi,
You made me do that.
I made her do that. Lakshmi is like this, like it's like a chant that you do where you go Om Shri Maha Lakshmi Namaha, something like that.
And he used to walk into the room and be like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, chanting.
That's what Dan would do, and I'd literally go around the room and I'd be dancing. I'd be like doing it, which is the vibe. It's a vibe of a mantra, but
It's not the mantra, it's the energy behind it.
It's the
if you
fucking
notice,
energy.
there's a theme behind everything we're saying. It's
Yeah.
the energy behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's like the frequency is important. So a lot of the time, you really.
I was doing
It's
so yeah
the
with the
energy.
Lakshmi mantra. If you haven't heard of it, you're meant to basically you get like the goddess Lakshmi, you create like a shrine for her, and you basically put your intentions there. And for like, was it how many days? A certain number of days, you have to do the Lakshmi mantra, and you have to like visualize what you want, and then it comes to fruition.
Yeah, never did.
Never did.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I think one time it did for me, and then that's why I kept trying to do it again and again and again because it's like
Never did for me.
No, I think the first time I did it was because it was like fun for me to do.
I feel like my higher self has just always been like, any more control that you need to heal your control.
Yeah.
Any more control I could add to my bio, my higher self is like, it's not happening.
No.
I'm not going to be manifested through this way.
No. I have one more actually that I want to talk about. That was just more of like a funny thing that we used to do.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Like I used to like literally, I controlled it so much. Like it
Yeah.
was just coming from such an attachment wound with the Lakshmi mantra. This is a big one. I used to use money as a way of determining whether or not I was open. So depending on how much money I was making or how much money I was allowing into my experience, I would actually use that as a defining, and I feel like this is really specific for entrepreneurs who really focus a lot of like money, like, you know, money stuff. But like I used to be like, depending on how much money my business is making and how much money is like flowing through, this is like a indication of how open I am and how like where my vibration is at. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like
so it
when
yeah.
so it's like when I wasn't receiving in business, then I'd be like, oh, I'm closed.
Oh, yeah, I would always do that because I didn't actually
Yeah.
understand money energetics. I didn't
Yeah.
actually understand what it meant to be
I was,
actually
like-
open to receiving.
Well, abundance for me meant money.
Yeah,
Like, I wasn't
yeah.
looking at abundance in all the other ways that money, like abundance was showing up
Yeah.
in my life. It was like money. So
Yeah.
what was money doing in my experience? And then I would let money define, like I'd let that dictate what I would do and be like, okay, am I open? Am I not open? What's money doing?
Or you would be like, you'd have abundance come through and you'd be like, something's wrong. Like if money, it wasn't in the form of abundance, you'd be like, something's wrong.
That was
'Cause
a
it's like,
big
why is
one.
it showing up like this?
Yeah, I'd get
It's like,
cut.
well, maybe if you were actually fucking grateful.
I'd get cut. No,
You'd
I'd
get
get
cut.
I'd get fucking cut if if money was not coming through my business. I'd be like,
I remember I was
Yeah.
like, babe.
So did you.
Yeah, I did
Don't
too.
Don't fucking put that on me, bitch.
Yeah, you did. I did.
What?
Yeah.
What?
No,
Shut the fuck up.
I feel like I was
You were
also...
so, like, you were just as bad.
Yeah, I was.
God, on your spiritual high horse there.
Yeah.
Spiritual ego.
Yeah, true.
This is where you talk because I'm sipping.
Anyway.
Yeah.
No, we did do that. That's how I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I was just like, did I? No, I did fully.
No, you fucking did that.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
No, I did. Anyway, so it's like you actually like reject all the other abundance that's available to you.
Yeah, you get cut.
You get cut because you're like, it didn't come through this way.
You get cut. You're just
you're
like
not fully in gratitude.
No.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, like it came through this. It means it hasn't come through here. So that.
Yeah, mine came like there was always a story. So it was like, I would have like abundance would come through, but if it wasn't in the way that I wanted it to, I was like, something's wrong. It's not happening. And like maybe if you stop being attached to it needing to come through that way, it would.
Literally.
Not even that, but just
not even
attached.
that. Not even that statement. It's like can you just like let it go and like actually be in gratitude for what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild because I feel like right now, if you're in a situation where it's like your financial situation isn't looking the way that you want it to and you're perceiving it through the lens of lack, like you have such a gift right now to actually like embody the frequency that we're talking about, which is like feeling abundance and gratitude and being so present with the here and the now and not needing anything outside of you. You really have an opportunity to practice that, because what better way to actually practice this right now when you actually don't have the thing that you are pining after. Like, actually take back your energy and see that you are supported, right? You are supported and you're good in the here and the now. Right now, honestly, is anything wrong? It's like, ask yourself that. Not what could happen in the future, not these like potential scenarios that you're thinking about. It's like, right now, is anything wrong? No.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
That I would love for you to answer.
I was in the middle of that.
Sorry.
We were in the middle of something.
Sorry. I know, that was rude. Sorry.
No, go on.
No, go.
I forgot now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
just because it was a really good question. Because
Go.
I think it's going to, like, what you're going to answer. So, someone's listening and they're thinking that, not that, I feel like I'm just trying to think of, like, every perspective. Or they've got this feeling of, like, I don't have as much as someone else, so I'm not as lucky, or I can't be grateful for what I have because it feels like it's not enough. Like, what would you actually say to that person?
Everything we've been saying in this podcast.
Yeah.
The thing does not bring you the thing, right? You think.
But also, like, because I feel like you've spoken a lot about this with clients and things like that, your belief is that every single person, abundance is available. Like, even when you went to Bali and they didn't have as much as you or whatever, you were able to see abundance in the moment. So that's like, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's what Nadia was describing there. Is when I went on a Bali trip, I practiced because I was seeing them through the lens of lack, and I don't like seeing people through a disempowered lens, no matter what they're going through. And in Bali, if you don't know, there's a lot of poverty, right? A lot of people living on the streets and things like that. And, you know, it's different from our Western society and like what we have. And just like having access to clean water and things like that, like all of that was really kind of getting to me. And I was really like going into like a lack vibration and I was disempowering people and I wanted to call back power to them, right? So I started to look at who actually told me this. Ashley told me this. Ashley, I'll leave her Instagram below. She actually told me this. Or did she? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did. I saw one of my friends in Bali. I met up with her and she told me this, but she was like practicing seeing people through an abundant lens and looking at what they have, right? Rather than what they don't have. That's when I started practicing that. So props goes to her for that. So I started to do that and I started to look at all the ways in which they were supported, right? I looked at like the connection that they had, the community that they had, the tourists that were giving everyone like money and like I was like also being the path of least resistance for money and like I was seeing things through the like lens of perspective and like what they had. I saw that the land was so abundant and vibrant and gave so much to them. Yeah. So I was just seeing all of that and like that really helped like turn things around and I was just like, oh, like you can really see things through a lens of I don't have and lack, or you can see things through a lens of I do have. And this has nothing to do with like physical things. I was looking at physical things then, but this really doesn't have anything to do with like physical things. I think if you are looking at people and you're looking at what they have and you're saying, well, it's easy for them because of what they have, then you're still in the energy of the outside things are going to give me the internal satisfaction, pleasure, freedom that I'm looking for, and that's just not the case, right? You're still in this illusion of thinking that it's going to come from outside of you, and you are never going to live a happy life from that frequency. If you actually want to be truly happy in this life, it's realizing this most important fact that the thing does not give you the thing, right? How many rich and famous people like fucking kill themselves and like, you know, are so unhappy, right? Because they get to a point where they're trying and then they get these things, they manifest these things that they think like, this is my reason for living, you know what I mean? Like, when you're doing it from that mentality, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to feel satisfied. You're never going to feel like whole and complete. It's just never going to be enough. So I feel like I went on a massive tangent there, but it needed to come out. I feel like the episode is complete.
I feel as well.
I feel like everything I wanted to say, what I feel as well.
Sometimes I just say half sentences.
You actually do. You do that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we communicate so much.
It's mostly with you I do that.
Yeah. But we do it on the podcast now.
Yeah.
Because
so
it's how we're used to. Yeah. We have to like be mindful of actually explaining what we mean.
Yeah.
Because we'll just like look at each other and we'll like halfway say something and I'll be like, you get it.
Yeah, you get it.
But you guys don't get it.
Yeah.
You're like, don't understand.
No. I do feel like it's complete, and yeah, I feel like perfect.
Yeah, I feel like everything we wanted to say around this topic really came out. I know that we challenged a lot of like ideas that are out there. But it makes sense, right? When you find out the energetics of why we do certain things.
Yeah.
It comes down to like, where are you doing it from? That's like the biggest thing you want to be mindful of with this like manifestation work. Like, where is it actually coming from?
Yeah.
Which is something you highlighted in this episode.
Yeah.
And I think is a good note to like finish on.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a like if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when we upload new episodes on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're listening there, you can actually rate and review the podcast. This is an amazing way to actually show your support to the podcast and let us know that you're enjoying it so that we know and we can know to create more of these episodes for you. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.